In the name of God, most merciful, ever merciful, and may God's peace and blessings be upon His holy Prophet Muhammad and the purified members of his household and progeny. Brothers, sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Holy Quran says, لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. Certainly, there is for you in the Messenger of Allah a sublime example for whoever aspires towards Allah and the last day and who remembers Allah a lot. Historians tell us that the event of the birth of Imam Al Hasan al-Mujtaba, peace upon him, was long awaited from the Holy Prophet. It was an event that would be long awaited from the blessed household of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra, peace and blessings upon them. In fact, historians tell us that when the news of the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam reached the inhabitants of the holy city of Medina, the inhabitants got out of their houses with great happiness and with great joy, and they decorated the city and they were chanting as a result of feeling the joy and happiness in the heart of the Holy Prophet. So I feel that I must start by congratulating all of you and myself on this very auspicious, joyous, happy occasion that has been celebrated with joy and happiness since the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and inshallah that continues to be celebrated until the appearance of our Imam. And this is not even to mention the many narrations that tell us of the celebrations that took place in the world of the angels when the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam took place here on earth. The life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam was a very eventful one. It was full of very subtle, complex nuances, delicacies that require much attention and much study, and I truly encourage all of you and myself to study that period of Islamic history, to better understand the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam and the pivotal role that he played in Islamic history. Especially if we keep in mind that perhaps there is no other figure in the members of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam whose biography has been injected with more lies, with more distortions, with more fabrications than that of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam. His enemies fabricated lies and fabricated claims against him since his time and until today. They claimed that he had no courage. They claimed that he was a womanizer. They claimed that he liked the luxuries and comforts of this world. They claimed that he was not fit to be a leader and to be a ruler. And they claimed lies upon lies. This is why it is important to study the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam. As for us today here, obviously we do not have enough time to cover the entirety of the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, even in summary. So I will concentrate in the few minutes that I have on one aspect of the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam that I think, and inshallah, will bring a lot of relevance and direct application in our lives. And this is the aspect around his birth and the aspect around his upbringing. It is commonly known that Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam was born in the 3rd year following the migration of the Holy Prophet from the city of Medina, Mecca, to the city of Medina. And this would have taken place on the 15th of the holy month of Ramadan. As for the significance of the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, the significance of the birth of the Imam alayhi salam is not limited to the fact that he was the first grandson to be born to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, although there is significance in that. And it is not limited to the fact that he was going to be the first-born child in that blessed household of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra, peace and blessings upon them. And there is significance in that. But there is a lot more significance. The birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam was the proof sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the Holy Prophet was indeed going to have a lineage. The disbelievers had ridiculed and mocked the Holy Prophet, saying that he has no lineage, that he has no descendants. And the Holy Quran had prophesied that the Holy Prophet would have lineage. And he had said that he would have lineage through his daughter Fatima. But until that time, that proof had not taken place. And now with the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, this was proof that the Holy Prophet was going to have a lineage, and that his lineage was indeed going to go through his daughter Fatima and his cousin Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, peace and blessings upon them. And this is the interpretation, or one of the interpretations, as mentioned in the commentaries of the Quran, of Surah Al-Kawthar, when it says, in the name of Allah, most merciful, ever merciful, indeed, inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, indeed, we have given you the abundance. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice, for it is your enemy who has been cut off without having posterity, without having lineage, and without having descendants. The other aspect that I think is very relevant in the significance of the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, and that the Muslims surrounding the Holy Prophet started to realize even in the time of the Holy Prophet, and which is the theme for our talk today, is that this was going to be the first time where we actually see the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi personifying what we today call the principles of Islamic upbringing. The Muslims were actually going to see how the Holy Prophet applies himself, demonstrates the proper manner in which he raises a member of his family, a child of his own. Which is different than saying that the Holy Prophet explains it in theory, with words and sayings, as valuable as that is. But there is additional merit in seeing how the Holy Prophet personifies it himself with one of his own. So, for us today, what we're trying to do is to concentrate specifically on this aspect of the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam. Two quick points before we actually get into the cases that we want to explain in our talk. The first one, so that we don't spend too much time repeating it, something just to keep in mind as we explain what we're going to explain. Keep in mind that the Holy Prophet was an extremely busy man. The Holy Prophet was a political leader, a military leader, a social leader, a spiritual leader, managing the affairs of a nation, of a young nation that is just about to be developed. So when we keep seeing the attention and care that the Holy Prophet gives to Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hussein alayhi salam, the only thing this could mean is that the Holy Prophet was seizing every opportunity he had to spend time with his grandsons. And he was carving out time out of his schedule to make sure that he was upbringing them in the manner that he saw fit. That's the first point. A second point to keep in mind is that often when we talk about Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, as we are going to see, we always mention Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam as well. And there are many reasons for that. So let's just mention the simple, easy reason for now. Our Imams tell us that the difference in age between Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, the birth of Imam Al Hasan, and the birth of Imam Al Hussein was only 6 months and 10 days. They were only 6 months and 10 days apart. Which means that except for the first 6 months of the life of Imam Al Hasan, wherever we are going to find Imam Al Hasan, we're also going to find Imam Al Hussein. And wherever we're going to find Imam Al Hussein, we're also going to find Imam Al Hasan. So these are 2 quick points to keep in mind. If someone wonders, how come we always mention Imam Al Hasan along with Imam Al Hussein? This is one of the, let's say, practical, concrete reasons why. So we notice right from the beginning of the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam that there was an unparalleled attention and attachment between the Holy Prophet ﷺ and Imam Al Hasan. And this attachment was mutual. It was both sides. Let's start from the famous example, from the famous event of the naming of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam. The narrations tell us that Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he first heard that his wife Fatima al-Zahra had given birth to Imam Al Hasan, he rushed home full of joy. He came to Fatima al-Zahra and he asked her, "What have you named my son?" And she tells him, "I was not going to name him before you." So Imam Ali alayhi salam takes his newborn son and he rushes to the Holy Prophet and he presents his son to the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet here, before continuing with the well-known part, in some of the narrations he adds a sentence. He says, "Have I not said never to wrap a newborn child with a yellow cloth, with a yellow swaddle?" This is something for us to keep in mind. Today there's an entire field called color therapy or chromotherapy that studies the effects of colors on human beings. Every color that a human being sees has a different effect on them. In this narration, if it is valid, it is saying that the Holy Prophet is saying a newborn is not to be swaddled, is not to be clothed in yellow. He must be swaddled or clothed in white. Something to keep in mind that the Holy Prophet taught us 14 centuries ago. The narration continues. The Holy Prophet turns to Imam Ali alayhi salam and asks him, "What have you named your son?" And Imam Ali replies, "I was not going to name him before you, O Messenger of Allah." And the Holy Prophet says, "And I am not going to name him before my Lord." At this point, Jibreel, peace upon him, descends to the Holy Prophet and tells him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala salutes you and tells you to name this son, this boy of yours, by the same name of the son of the brother of Prophet Musa, Prophet Harun. His name was Shubba, so call him Shubba. The Holy Prophet responds to this by saying, "But my tongue, my language, my tongue is Arabic." Jibreel alayhi salam comes back and says, "Then name him Al Hasan." This little passage, this little snapshot, carries a lot of lessons. The first one is that we see the absolute devotion, submission of Imam Ali alayhi salam to the Holy Prophet in every aspect of his life. From the smallest details to the largest issues and affairs, he always consults the Holy Prophet before committing to an act, including the naming of his own son. We also learn from this event that there is an etiquette when naming your child. Do consult with the family members, with the figures of the family. Make them feel that they are part of this happy process so that they share the joy with you. Of course, at the end of the day, there's only one name, but just having consulted them actually adds more cohesion and affection within the family. Another point to keep in mind is the constant analogies that we see in our narrations between Holy Prophet Musa alayhi salam and his brother Harun, and the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa and Imam Ali alayhi salam. And we don't have time to explain this now. It is simply something to keep in mind. And this goes as far as naming the son Imam Ali and the second son as well, as we have in other narrations, Shubba wa Shubayb, Al Hasan and Al Hussein, being Arabic translations of Shubba and Shubayb. And perhaps the final point I wanted to make for this little snapshot was to concentrate on this point that even though the name that had been proposed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Holy Prophet was a beautiful name, was a significant, was a religious name, yet the Holy Prophet rejected it because he wanted a name that better represents his identity, that better represents who he was, that was more appropriate to his surrounding and to his environment. So he asked for an Arabic name instead. So for us, this is another lesson to keep in mind as we name our children, as we decide on the names that we will carry in the future, what kind of identity do we want them to carry. If we now turn to some of the other rituals that surrounded the birth of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, and without going into any details, we are told that the Holy Prophet did the same things that has been passed down to us as the traditions surrounding birth, such as shaving the hair of the child and weighing it and then giving its weight, the equivalent of its weight, in charity in silver. And the sacrifice. So sacrificing a lamb or a sheep or a camel on behalf of this child, for the reason that, first of all, it adds protection. In our narrations, in our religion, we believe that the best way to protect ourselves and to protect our households and families is by giving charity. Charity pushes evil away. So this act of sacrificing on behalf of the child pushes this evil away from the child. But there's also another nuance. Our religion is always trying to seize the opportunities that we have to create more social cohesion, more social affection between the members of a community. So it seizes the opportunity of these life events, such as a birth, such as a wedding, and so on and so forth, and it says it is recommended to give food, to prepare a meal, to distribute it to the members of the community, and to find the poor and the needy especially, and give them that food. If I remember that I attended a meal on behalf of your son, then of course this creates more affection and more cohesion between us. And the same thing likewise mutually within a community. Another ritual that the Holy Prophet respected with regards to Imam Al Hasan and repeated with Imam Al Hussein is that as soon as he took hold of the child, he recited the adhan in the right ear, and he recited the iqamah in the left ear. And the philosophy behind this very quickly is that we want to make sure in our religion that the first words and the first notions that enter the hearing of this human being are going to be the ones related to the proclamation of unity, of monotheism, of tawheed, as well as witnessing that Muhammad is the messenger and prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, and this does not apply to the imams, but since we're talking about the traditions surrounding birth in our religion, one of the well-established traditions is that of circumcision. There is no disagreement in Islam about the fact that circumcision is part of our traditions. In fact, we are told by our legal scholars that if someone has not been circumcised, if they perform the pilgrimage is not valid. So this is something else to keep in mind. Although in the case of the imams, our narrations tell us that the imams and the prophets, when they are born, they are always born circumcised. So this does not apply to them, but something to keep in mind. Now if we turn to the actual upbringing of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Holy Prophet took great care of every aspect, of every dimension of the lives of Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hasan. We are told in the narrations that the Holy Prophet would carry them in his arms and on his shoulders. And when people would see that, they would tell them, "What a great carrier you have." And he would respond either by saying, "And what great riders they are." Or he would add, "And their father is greater than they are." Or he would add, "I swear that I love them and I love anyone who loves them." We are told in the narrations that when the Holy Prophet would be standing to give a sermon in the mosque on his pulpit, and he would see Imam Al Hasan or Imam Al Hussein come into the mosque, he would interrupt his sermon, come down from the pulpit, carry Imam Al Hasan in his arms, go back to the pulpit and continue with the sermon. Other narrations tell us that when the Holy Prophet was praying Jama'ah in the mosque, in the gathering, and Imam Al Hasan or Imam Al Hasan and Hussein would come, sometimes they would climb on the Prophet's back, the Prophet's holy back, while he's performing sujood. And the Prophet would stay in the station or situation of sujood for a long time, to the point where some of the companions would ask the Prophet afterwards. They would say, "Was something revealed to you while you were performing the sujood?" And the Prophet would say, "No, nothing was revealed to me. But Al-Hasan or Al-Hasan or Hussein, they were on my back playing, and I did not want to rush them." We continue with the many narrations. Others tell us that some of the companions would come and visit the Holy Prophet late at night. They would knock on the door and the Holy Prophet would come out wearing a large garment, as though he's hiding something inside of it. And then when he would remove it, they would see that he's actually carrying Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hussein on his body, and they are asleep. This tells us that Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hussein alayhi salam, they were actually spending their nights not in their beds with their parents, they were spending them stuck to the body of the Holy Prophet. And the Holy Prophet himself, despite his affairs, despite his busyness, made time and wanted them to be stuck to his body even in those times. The companions of the Holy Prophet noticed this attachment, and some of them started to use it to their own benefits. We are told in one of the narrations that there's one of the companions of the Holy Prophet who unfortunately committed some grave sins. And when the Holy Prophet knew about those things, that companion was too ashamed to come face the Holy Prophet or come back to the mosque. So he disappeared from the mosque for a long time. And after a while, they say that as he was walking, he saw Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hussein in the street. And he told them, "Do you want me to bring you to your grandfather?" And they said, "Yes." So he carried both of them. And he went to the Holy Prophet, and as soon as he saw him, he told him, "I beseech you, O Prophet of Allah, by your two grandsons, that you ask Allah to forgive me." And the Holy Prophet, in the narration, it says, he smiled to the point of having to cover his teeth. The Holy Prophet never laughed. The laughter of the Holy Prophet, our laughter, is equivalent to the Holy Prophet showing his teeth, and he would cover them. So the Holy Prophet liked what he saw from this man, and he told him, "You have come up with a very clever trick. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven you." And that's why we have in some of our commentaries about the verse that says, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ جَاءُوكَ فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا اللَّهَ وَاسْتَغْفَرَ لَهُمُ الرَّسُولُ لَوَجَدُوا اللَّهَ تَوَّابًا رَحِيمًا. The verse that says, when they wrong themselves, if they come to you pleading to Allah for forgiveness, and you plead for their forgiveness, then surely they will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clement and very merciful. And we are told that this is when this verse was revealed. The Holy Prophet took great care of children. We cannot forget that the Holy Prophet was the leader of his nation. He was the equivalent of the king. And we are told that when the Holy Prophet would walk in the streets and he would see a child, he would go down to their level and he would salute them and he would often play with them. Today, 14 centuries later, if you're asked around, what should you do if you're shopping for a good kindergarten for your children? One of the things that they will teach you is to tell you that find teachers who talk to infants at the age of being in kindergarten, who talk to them at their level, who go down, who bow down to the level of the child. Why? They say because it crushes the personality of the child if you're always talking to them from above. It doesn't give them confidence. It makes them feel smaller. This is 14 centuries later, psychological analysis telling us this. The Holy Prophet was doing this with every child he was encountering. He would salute the child, he wouldn't ignore them, and he would go down to their level to salute them. This creates an affection with the Holy Prophet, who had never thought of himself that he's too great to bow down to a child and salute them. He makes the child feel as though they are a member of this community, a member of this society, even though they are very young. Children in the world of the Holy Prophet don't live on the margin. They live in the middle of all the affairs. And we see this even more clearly in the lives of Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hasan. We see that in the case, there is a letter, there are a number of letters that we still have from the Holy Prophet written to kings and leaders of tribes. In the letter written to the tribe of Thaqif, basically today this letter would be the equivalent of a king writing to another king. The Holy Prophet, in the way he writes, at some point he says, and the witnesses to this letter are so and so and so, and Al-Hasan ibn Ali. Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam at that time was 5 or 6 years old. And the Holy Prophet includes his name in the letter going to a king. In another event, the very famous event of Al-Mubahala, although it carries a lot of significance and a lot of meanings, one of the meanings that we have to take out of this event of Al-Mubahala was to see how the Holy Prophet involved Imam Al Hasan and Imam Al Hussein, although they were children. This event was an event that was determining for the Islamic society. This was a challenge by the top Christians of their time to the prophethood of the Holy Prophet. This is a grave affair. And in that circumstance, in that event, the Holy Prophet comes out with none other than Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Fatima al-Zahra, and carrying in his hand Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and holding in his hand, walking beside him, Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. This tells us that the Holy Prophet did not keep children away from the social events. He did not keep them away from the political events. In fact, he put them right front and center. This makes the children part of the event. They realize what's going on. They gain a political awareness, a military awareness, a social awareness. And that's why we have in the events following the death of the Holy Prophet, we are told that when the Holy Prophet passed away, and we all know that the events of the Saqifa were taking place right around the death of the Holy Prophet, the next day, when Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam was about 7 years old, we are told that the mosque of the Holy Prophet was full of people as they were establishing the Khilafah of Abu Bakr. Imam Al Hasan at that young age walked in the mosque through the ranks all the way to the pulpit where Abu Bakr was standing to give a speech. And he told him, and you have to imagine that landscape, that canvas, that portrait, try to imagine what's going on. You see that child of 7 come through the ranks and tell the Khalifa to be, he tells him, step down from the pulpit of my father and stand on the pulpit of your own father. To which Abu Bakr replies, it is indeed the pulpit of your father. Of course, meaning the Holy Prophet, not Imam Ali alayhi salam. Then it is said that they took Imam Al Hasan and they went to Imam Ali alayhi salam. And they told him, why did you send your son to say what he said publicly in this manner? To which Imam Ali alayhi salam said, I did not send him, nor did I command him to say anything. If he did anything, it is of his own accord. This basically does not come from anything. Of course the Imams are divinely guided. Of course the Imams are exceptional human beings. But there's also an aspect, and this is what we're concentrating on, there is an aspect that has been ensured by the Holy Prophet and the parents of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam to ensure that he has the political awareness to be able to read what's going on and to determine the correct way in dealing with all this. If we fast forward, if we look at the rest of the life of Imam Al Hasan alayhi salam, and we will end with this, from the time of the passing of the Holy Prophet to the time of the martyrdom of the Imam at the hands of his wife Ja'da bint al-Ash'ab al-Qais, who poisoned the Imam as a result of the bribery of Muawiyah, we see that the Imam's life was full of calamities and tests and tribulations and difficulties, one after the other. These would have made anyone despair and become hopeless and become impatient. And yet, one of the sworn enemies of Ahl al-Bayt, Marwan ibn al-Hakam, he says, I swear that if the patience and forbearance of Al-Hasan were to be put on one side of the scale and the mountains on the other, his patience would weigh heavier. In our narrations, we are told that Imam Ali alayhi salam says, I did not ask my Lord to give me a child with a beautiful face, nor did I ask my Lord to give me a child with tall stature. I asked my Lord to give me a child who gives my eyes pleasure when I see him worshiping Allah. As we keep these words from Imam Ali alayhi salam in mind, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us understand the lives of Ahlul Bayt and to follow in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet as he showed us how to raise our children properly as he raised Imam Al Hasan. And to walk in the footsteps of Imam Al Hasan and to face the difficulties and tribulations of his life with patience and strength and courage. And finally, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our deeds in these holy days and nights. And the last of our words is to send blessings and peace upon our Holy Prophet and the purified members of his household and progeny.